to say, no, of course I can't do a podcast. In fact, I am just about to be, oh my God, I'm so tired. I just dropped my friend home. It's already nearly 1:30 and I have to leave the house at 6:30. And I'm just like, why the fuck do I do this to myself? I'm so tired. But he gave me, I didn't want to drive him home, but he did give me 20 quid and a hoodie that has got a picture of David Attenborough riding a prawn, which I love. So I'm quite happy about that. But yeah, all the coffee tomorrow.
That was a voicemail that my next guest left me a couple of days ago. So as you can tell, she's a very interesting character, and that's why I want her on the show. Welcome, esteemed listeners, to True Tall Tales, a haven for the extraordinary. Today we have a treat in store. The incomparable Meghan, a dear friend and a purveyor of laughter, joins us from across the pond. From our wild nights in Sydney to her adventures in England, Meghan brings wit and charm to her True Talk Tales. Sit back and be prepared to be captivated by her unique and quirky escapades.
Away from England, I think are you in Portsmouth at the moment?
I'm actually in Bognor.
Bognor? Where's Bognor for the listeners? And
it's like an hour. It's basically along the coast.
Okay,
it's
nice. Okay. Can you swim at the beach there? Is it nice? Is it like Australia?
Yeah. Walk to the beach. When I take the dog I have to take the dogs for separate walks. And when I take one of them, I'm gonna run down to the beach.
Just a quick question, Meghan. Thank you for coming on the show. You showed me the dog before. Is one of those dogs a sausage dog?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You don't know this story. So part of this podcast, why I brought it out, is shit happens to me all the time. That anyone that knows me, you know me from 15 years ago. Stuff happens to me all the time. I have a lot of bad luck, and that's why I started it, because it creates true tall tales stories, right? And that's why I'm interviewing people on the show. Meghan is house sitting at the moment with these dogs, and I did see the sausage dog before we started recording. Meghan, what you don't know is I actually got attacked by a sausage dog 3 years ago and went to hospital.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not even joking.
That is so funny.
Do you not know this? So I flew back. I was living in Canada. COVID hit. I flew back to Australia thinking I was going to be here for a month. I was house sitting my friend's house in North Bondi before I moved back to Canada. And I thought, okay, back in Australia, it's really, really hot. I want to get a Ryan Gosling body. Let's get fit. I'm not paying rent by house sitting. I'm living right on the beach. You know, those vibes. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm listening. I'm just letting the dogs go for a run first.
She's left the recording, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, welcome back, Meghan. So then I went for a run to Bondi Beach to Gordon's Bay, which you probably remember when you were in Australia. And I thought, it's really hot. I took off my shirt and I went to go for a swim. But then a sausage dog ran up towards me, and I'm a dog person. I grew up with dogs my whole life. And I was like, hey, buddy, how you going? And went, rrr. And it started attacking me and started biting my leg. And I've never been attacked by a dog before. So I kind of went into shock when it happened. And then the owner quickly swept in and grabbed the dog and legged it. The owner didn't see if I was okay. He left me. And the reason for that is in Sydney, if you get attacked by a dog, it gets put down, or it has to wear a muffle, you know, like a muffle around its muffle. Is that the word? It's a weird word.
Muffle? It's a muzzle.
Oh, muzzle.
I like muffle.
Sorry, that's it. Muzzle. So he left, and then I was in shock, and my whole leg was pouring out with blood. And I was like, holy crap, this is really, really bad. And then in the background at Gordon's Bay, everyone's laying on the rocks, like going swimming and stuff, sunbaking. I heard a guy go, oi, did you see that guy get attacked by that sausage dog? And as I turned around, Meghan, everyone had their phones out filming me. I know. So...
You know that if that was somebody else, you would have filmed it and you'd have been like, oh my God, we saw this guy get... Oh no, was it really bad? Or should I not be laughing?
No, it's okay. I don't think I would film someone getting attacked. I wouldn't film someone getting attacked. I'd be like, wow, that person's getting attacked by a dog. Are they okay? I don't think I'd film someone. But I
Yeah.
went in the water to wash it off. I caught Ainsley and I went to the hospital and had to get stitches. And yeah, after that, I'm now scared of small dogs, and especially sausage dogs. But when that happened, I actually put it up on TikTok and said I just got attacked by a sausage dog. And you know what happened? All these people from around the world that were sausage dog victims that had got attacked by sausage dogs reached out to me, and there is thousands of people who have been attacked by a sausage dog, and it turns out they're part of the Dachshund family. I can't say that word properly. That's it, Dachshund, which is the second most vicious breed of dog, and they actually are known to be bred because that's not normal. Like they've been created to be like that. Like that's like not a normal dog. That's been bred to be like that. Anyway.
Interesting. I didn't know that. And so one of my new side hustles, because remember when I was living in Sydney and everyone just used to rip me because I used to be addicted to jobs. And the girls used to be like, she's got another job. I'm still like that. Like I always have a full-time job and then I have like several side hustles. And my latest is pet sitting. But like what I plan to do is, because I can do all of the animals, like I can do horses, I can do, rabbits, chickens, donkeys, whatever, alpacas. Like what I'm hoping is at the moment I'm just sort of doing it casually, but I want to do it so that I go into, basically I Airbnb my flat out and then I go and stay in people's houses, but like really nice houses. And then you can get paid so much money. So it's like I'll be working remotely and then I'll rent my flat out and then I'll be doing the animal stuff in somebody's house while they're on holiday, because lots of people don't like to leave their houses, unattended.
Right. Okay.
Like as if prefer to have somebody there who knows, like rather than put their animals into like a, what's it called? Like when you put it, what's it called when you put the dogs? I'm just like kind of complete. What's it called when you put the dogs in the place when you're on holiday? I keep thinking a cattery, but it's not a cattery. It's like a dog.
I wouldn't have a clue. That's so bougie. I don't know. We just had to look after them and we brought them with us, to be honest with you.
But this sausage dog is so chilled. But I know what you mean about sausage dogs, because my aunt, I also look after like all of my family's animals, and I have a massive family. And my auntie has a sausage dog called Benji, and he just is so aggressive. Like he's never actually gone for anyone, but he's like, very barky. But this one doesn't really hardly barks. She's so chilled. She just like wants to cuddle you all the time.
Yeah, not for me. After that, I'm just like, I'm an innocent person by myself. What if that was a toddler or a child? Like, like so dangerous. The dog should have been on a leash anyway.
I shouldn't have laughed. Sorry, I am talking over you as well. I'm terrible for that, so I apologize.
No, that's okay. No.
Sorry, it's
everyone I told laughed. It's like, who gets attacked by a sausage dog? I do. Like, it's so something that would happen to me. So it is funny. No. You're allowed to laugh. So anyway, thank you for coming on the show. It's about true tall tales where you've got stories to tell or things that have happened, but that naturally happens to you. I just wanted to bring up with one of your stories. You did mention to me on a voicemail the other day that one of your friends was trying to hook you up with a Ukrainian prince, or what prince was it?
Not prince.
It's what?
No, just basically, because I'm always traveling and around, and I'm really bad at booking. I'm really bad at organizing myself. It's a very ADHD thing. Like I thought I was really, in fact, I think I was sending you voice notes as I was preparing, but it's like a lot to remember because I'm so busy and I've got so many different jobs, and it's like remembering to pack the car. And so this week I've not been able to go into the office. Well, I had to go because I'd organized a training, but I just forgot my shoes. So I just didn't have any. I didn't have any clothes, and I was supposed to go to this event, and they had like the BBC there, and then they had this. It was really cute. They had this. It was a football sports camp for kids, and they had like two Ukrainian professional football players, but one of them's also a pop star, and my friend's just really obsessed with him. She's an older lady who oh god, I feel bad saying she's an older lady, but she's a retired social worker, and we just become really good friends. And she keeps saying he's single and he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. And anyway, and then he sort of like serenaded the children. It was very cute. And yeah.
So he's a Ukrainian footballer, as in like soccer, but he used to be a pop star before he was a soccer player?
Other way around.
Oh, he's a pop star now.
Yeah.
No way. Like on Spotify and stuff, or like was he on like wait, what country is he from?
Ukraine.
Ukraine.
So I work on like Homes for Ukraine program. So it's at the moment my new job's slightly different, but so it's the UK set up a scheme to support Ukrainian refugees with to come to this country. But initially when they arrive, they stay with the host family. So that's the scheme that I work on. So yeah, I'm just working specifically with Ukrainians, and in my new job I'll be working with like all migrants and asylum seekers and refugees. So it'll be more varied from all the countries.
Oh, good on you. So yeah. But wait, most importantly as well, on top of that, are you going to go on a date with you should go on a date with him. That's cool. Ukrainian pop star.
No, I kind of stalked his Instagram, and he seems like such a nice guy, and I feel like I definitely want to be friends with him.
Just like your type. I was a bit fair call.
Networking, because I thought maybe because I do quite a lot of big like charity events, big parties and stuff in the summer. So, and I thought he would be a good person to like play. So we've been talking about organizing some sort of music event. Apparently he had like a big concert in Brighton. I don't know. It's not really my fave type of. I don't know. He seems nice, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. It's very polite of you. Also, the other voicemail that you left me the other day with the story that you can tell because you just have so many stories, and I just feel like I just could bring them up, which I don't know because you leave me 30-second voicemails. Is that
I need to give you a synopsis of like the last 5 years.
Oh,
that's why I was crying this morning, because I was like, when am I going to be able to go to Australia?
I will definitely do that when you get better reception. You have horrible reception right now, and I think I need you on like 5G or something when we have a proper catch up, but that would be nice. You did leave me a voicemail about how you got that jumper on. Can you explain that to me and the listeners?
This jumper? Oh, it's David Attenborough riding a prawn. And it says Oceans. I was so tired. I'm really bad at sleeping. I'm just like chronically sleep deprived, but I've been trying for about 3 years to sort my sleep out. But anyway, it was really late, and my friend lives really far away, and he was like wanting me to drive him home, so taxi was too expensive. And he was like, I'll give you 20 quid. And I was just like, I don't need 20 quid. I just want to go to bed. Yeah. And then he was like, I've got this jumper with David Attenborough riding a prawn. And I was like, okay, I'm in. When it comes to items of clothing,
it's just so funny, and that's what I love about you, where I'm getting a voicemail from a friend yourself that I met 15 years ago, and you're all the way from England, and you're just like, I'm so tired. It's 1 a.m. in the morning, and my friend wants to drop me home. I don't want to do it. They are offered 20 quid, and I was like, no, I just want to go to bed. And then they're like, I'll give you a jumper with David Attenborough riding a prawn, and that's what convinced you. It's so funny.
I will do anything almost for money. Like, I'm just so addicted to the side hustle. Like, honestly, like my friends like, I'm having a party. Do you know any caterers? And I was like, I'll do it.
Are you serious?
Like, I cater for my party. I was like, I'll do it. He's like, I want cocktails and this food. And he's like, oh, no, but I want you to come to the party. I was like, yeah, well, I was like, I'm actually dog sitting that weekend, so I can just use this big house, and I can use their kitchen to prep all the food. And yeah, I just can't turn down any sort of opportunity of hustle. But then I stab with money, so it's like sometimes I think you could just work less and not be stupid with your money, like miss flights and lose everything.
What's
Honestly,
your
my life flights is ridiculous. It's not gotten any better, Sonny, since I was in Australia. In fact, when Petra and Simon got married, and I last minute booked a flight to Laos.
Mhm.
I missed three. No, I was I think I'd had it was like Valentine's Day, and I'd had my girlfriend and one of my guy friends round, and me and my friend Alice had dressed in red, and I put like red roses everywhere. It was just like a bit of a piss take, we drank red wine, I cooked them dinner. So I was like quite drunk, and then I was like, oh shit, I'm going to Asia, I need to pack. And I also was Airbnb-ing my flat, so I had to like pack everything. Everything had to be perfect, plus I had to pack, so I basically hadn't slept. And I ended up getting missed my coach to the airport, ended up getting a taxi. I'm in the taxi, I'm trying to check in, and it won't let me check in, and I was like, why can't I check in? So I call them, they're like, oh, it's in our terms and conditions that we can cancel your flight within 24 hours. We cancelled your flight. It wasn't available at that price, because I got like a really cheap flight. So then they were like, it's all right, we can put you on the same flight, it will cost like £1,500 or something. So I was just like, no way. Can I swear, by the way?
Yes, you can swear, yes.
Oh, I feel like I'm being really PC. Like,
no, this is my
my
podcast. It's unfiltered. You can say whatever you want. You can swear. It's fine. Nothing that will corrupt you, though.
Pardon?
Like, just don't say anything that you can get cancelled for, though. That's all.
I don't think I would say anything I can get cancelled for.
Yeah, true. Okay. No, go on. I'm not saying you can swear. Yes.
Yeah.
My dad was on the show. He swears a lot.
What about yeah, anyway, I'm just going to go on. I'm just going to leave a few bits out. So anyway, I'm in the taxi and I'm wired. I haven't slept. And I've got no flight. And the wedding, they had this like pre-wedding, like when they had like a pre-wedding ceremony.
Yeah, like it's not the wedding, but they do drinks and stuff or rehearsals and stuff.
But
yeah.
I think because it was in Laos, I think it was like an actual ceremony, but not the actual ceremony. So it was like a special. Anyway, I needed to be there by a certain time. So I'm in Heathrow Airport and I've got no flight, and I was just like, and I haven't slept. I've just looked completely mental, and I'm running from counter to counter, like, can you give me a flight? Can you give me a flight? And the thing is, my sister was living in Hanoi in Vietnam at the time, and I'd got a really cheap flight. When you get a really cheap flight, you have a layover, and that's what makes it cheap. Well, I'd managed to, honestly, the hours that I've spent on Skyscanner, like I should have an extra side hustle as a travel agent, because I'm so good at manipulating the algorithms, and basically like, a really cheap flight, because it's got a layover. Well, if you work out where the layovers are that give you the cheap flight, and then you sort of like manipulate the multi-city thing, you can get a layover where you want to have a layover. So I had like 24 hours in Hanoi, which I was like, great, I'll see my sister. Or maybe it was more than 24 hours. Anyway, I'm going counter to counter. I end up thinking, and I hadn't been to Asia for a while, I'll just fly to Bangkok. It'll be easy to get a flight from BKK. So anyway, I get on the flight like as it's leaving to Bangkok, like last minute. They just give me a bit of paper. I haven't got like an email or anything. And they're like, oh, when you come home, do you want to get the midnight or the 4 p.m. flight? And I'm so sure I said the midnight flight. But anyway, apparently I didn't. So I don't think you did. I get to BKK.
What's BKK? Bangkok.
Bangkok. It's like a big it's a really big, it's like a good transit airport in Asia. So I get to BKK and I'm like, right, I'll just get another plane to Luang Prabang. I'll just jump on a plane, it'll be easy. But they didn't have any flights, so they were like really expensive. So I end up waiting all day in BKK airport. And then anyway, I eventually get there, and then at the end of the trip, everybody's going to Koh Phangan, and I really wanted to go, but I only had a few days, and I was like, by the time I get there, I'll have to turn around. So I met this random girl, I don't know, like on the street or something, when I was eating some street food, who was like going on a hike. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll go on a hike to the mountains with her. That didn't end up happening. So I really like spontaneously booked a return flight to Hanoi. No, sorry, I booked what I thought was a flight to Hanoi and then another flight from Hanoi to BKK. I go out with my sister, get apps, she was a bit of she's not as wild these days. She's got an Australian boyfriend, and he lives in the UK at the moment. So I'm thinking they might get married in Australia, and then I get to come and see all of you guys. So that's what I'm pushing them towards, because they are going to get married. And yeah, so she was a bit of a party animal. We have 2 really, really wild nights. Then I was so hungover the morning of the flight that I did this thing, which I often do when I'm really hungover, or I often used to do, where I look and I see, I was like, if the flight is less than £100, I'm going to miss it. So I was like looking at flights, no flights less than £100. So I was like, I'm going to have to go. So to get on the back of a motorbike taxi, I'm rushing for the flight, of course. Get to the airport and I'm like looking at the screen, and there's no flights to BKK at the time that I think my flight is. There is a flight back to Luang Prabang only. And it turns out that I booked a return to Luang Prabang, but I don't need to go to Luang Prabang. I need to go back to BKK. So I'm like, fuck. And then the next flight to BKK is like hours away. And so I'm sitting thinking I could have been in bed. I'm now just like hanging out in the airport in Hanoi. I end up meeting this old Australian pilot and having lunch. He bought me lunch, which was like Burger King or something.
Why did he buy lunch? Did you say you had no money or something?
I don't really know. We just got chatting, and then we ended up like having a Burger King together. And it turns out that he's in the north of Queensland, and he's a pilot, and he like has lots of planes. And I should have got his contact details, really.
Could have been another side hustle for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Could have been his air hostess.
So anyway, you think it's all over. I eventually get to BKK, very hungover. And I was like, I haven't been to Bangkok for years. I think I'm going to try and go to, it was some specific type of market by the river or something. I can't remember. But anyway, I had a plan. So I get to the airport, still really hungover. And I'm like, right, okay, you're still going to have a good 5 hours. So you can just jump in a cab and go shopping. So I go
fitting way too much in.
I go to the counter and I'm like, oh, can I just put my bag here? Because my flight's not until midnight. But I don't want to carry my bag around. And she's like, I gave her my passport and she's like, your flight's already left. Your flight to England's already left. It was at 4 p.m. And I was like,
oh my God. It's like, wait, Meghan, can I jump in? It's like you're a crazy person, right? Like you're walking in. You remind me of Bridesmaid that's on the plane. He takes the stuff to sleep with the alcohol. Have you seen Bridesmaid? You remind me of her. And she's like, he's like, my name's Steve. She's like, it's Stove. She's like, Ricky Iglesias. Like, that's how I picture you at the airport. I forget her name, but from Bridesmaid. And you're walking with Ray-Bans and you've got your bag and your passport. And you're like, hi, can you mind my bag and my passport? Here, you take it. I'm just going to go shopping for 5 hours. And first of all, I didn't even know you could do that at airports. I don't even know if that's a thing. And then she's looking at you.
Airline. No, if you've got a flight with the airline, you can you can just put your bag in like ahead, like you can check your bag in early. Sometimes, actually, to be fair, airports are just getting worse and worse, in my opinion, and airlines and everything. Like the whole aviation industry is just fucked, if you ask me. I would prefer to be catching another mode of transport. I just time. Don't have
Wait,
the time.
so back to your story. So you walked in like, can you find this? Here's my parcel. She's like, honey, your plane left 5 hours.
Yeah.
The story's stressing
And then
me
I
out.
was
Like it's making me so
God.
nervous and giving me anxiety. But keep going.
I'm like, you have got to be joking. So anyway, I was like, oh my God. And I'm thinking, this is the first international flight that I've missed. I have missed probably like, I mean, I can't count. One day I will try and work it out. I might go through my email account to trigger like a look at all the flights and be like, which one did you actually board? And which one was a replacement for the one that you missed. So anyway, I was like, oh my God, but I had to be back for work. So I don't even remember where I was working at the time, to be honest. But
You've missed that many flights that you can't even count. You wouldn't even know how many you've missed. And you
honestly,
obviously have missed so many flights where you just told me if you're hungover, been partying, you'll look at your flight and go, if you can find another one for under 100 quid, you'll miss it. Like that is insane. No wonder why you're trying to do all these side hustles. You're just booking flights and not turning up. Like it's insane. And eating
no,
Burger
I would
King with
that now.
pilots in airports when your plane's already flown off.
Well, I was dating a pilot for a while, and I was like, honestly, I was thinking this could solve all my problems, friends and family. But anyway, I didn't get any free flights. In fact, I have never. They're always really cruel when I miss a flight as well. They always make me pay like the max, and I feel like when I speak to other people, and it's usually males, like my male friends, and they're like, "Oh, I missed a flight." Oh, but they just put me on the next one, and I'm just like, what the hell? They're always really harsh to me. Anyway, so
You're probably blacklisted.
I needed to be on that flight. Well, I wouldn't do the whole I'm missing it deliberately, because we're in a climate crisis and I'm trying to cut down my flights in general. I mean, still a mild addiction, but I think I caught like 22 flights or something last year,
Wow.
which like for work. So
Wait, so what happened? So she said your plane left 5 hours
the flight
ago.
was full. She had me on standby, and I was like, I had to buy. To be fair, I didn't have to buy a whole new flight. I only had to pay £300, which seems like a lot, but actually, for missing a long haul flight, I don't think that's that too bad. So yeah, I eventually got home, but I think so. Initially, the flight that I initially booked was such a bargain. That's the only reason I could go. I was like, I got such a bargain. It was less than £600 return for me to fly to Luang Prabang for the wedding, and then have a layover in Hanoi and see my sister. But in the end, it ended up costing me like an insane amount. Yeah, I've had, and then I was going to Amsterdam. So I used to work for these. I used to live in a £6 million house and work as a private chef for these filthy rich people.
Did not know this.
Yeah,
Another side hustle. I love it.
It wasn't a side hustle. It was a full-time job. I was like a live-in private chef. Like it was wild. I was basically kind of like their PA.
I didn't know you're a good cook.
I blagged it, Sonny. Honestly, I absolutely blagged it. You know why I got that job? Because I worked for like quite a top-end company in France. In like when I did my last ski season, and I blagged that job. I was just in the right place at the right time, and there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears initially, but that gave me the experience. And yeah, I am a really good cook now. I mean, I think I've always been like quite good, but I was looking at old pictures of like friends had come over for dinner, and I was like, what had I cooked you? It looks like I cooked you like pasta with like tomato sauce on top, and then sliced up some pita bread, and I'd like made the table, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even like de-stem the roses. I was like, even the wine glasses look shit. Like who was I? No, I am pretty good. Like I've done quite a lot of oh, I forgot to, yeah, so after I left that job, sorry, I'm going off on a time, but after I left that job, no, when I was like thinking of leaving, I had an interview and got offered a job working for football player, British football player, like being their living chef, but I actually turned it down. So basically the wife is like a famous, she's an amazing, I was more intimidated by her, not the football player, but she is like an interior designer, like the daughter of someone who has a very big interior company, and she in her own right, like she's really amazing. So I would have been living in the most beautiful place, and they bought the house of the people I work for's friends for 18 million, and they were completely redoing it. But I turned it down because I don't know, I know what those kind of people are like they want to own you, and I'm not very good at being owned. I'm not very good with authority in general, and I get myself in all kinds of trouble. Yeah, they like got rid of their nanny, and they were like, the kids, they're so rich, like they could have just employed a nanny, but they were like, yeah, so you'll be doing all like the school pickups and stuff as well. And their youngest child was 6, and they were like, oh, you know, our kids are self-sufficient. And it's like, they're not self-sufficient at 6. So basically I was like, I worked out that I would basically be doing like managing all the staff, doing all the cooking, and looking after the kids. And I was like, this is not going to fit into a full-time job. This is like a...
No, you're right. They're owning you for that end. Like, I mean, look, everyone's got a price. If they asked you to do that and said, oh, but you tell us how much you want to pay you, then you do it. You know, you do it for a year, you save that money. But nah, that's what I mean. It sounds like they're being stingy. They've got an $18 million pound house and they're trying to get you to do the 3 jobs. A 6-year-old kid is not self-efficient.
Exactly. I could just, but also they were like, it would have been, my life would be dictated by them. So they were going to go into the Hamptons for summer, and they wanted to bring me with them. And I was like, well, that would be great, but I would have no summer with my friends. And I think like going to weddings would be impossible. Like any important thing, you know, like my sister had a baby, my sister got married. Lots of my friends got married. Like I wouldn't be able to, I think I would have just had to put my whole life on hold. And I was like, you know what, this wasn't even what I wanted to do. I just kind of like fell into it because I went to visit my friend. She was moving to New Zealand, and I went to the house that she was living in, and I was like, I could do this job. I want to live here. They've got horses, they've got alpacas, they've got a vegetable garden, they've got a full-time gardener, and she loved roses and I love roses. And I was just like, you know, swimming pool and nice. It was just beautiful, but it was just random and spontaneous. So, but anyway, you go.
I was just going to say, I've got 2 things to add from what you're saying. So, I know how much you love New Zealand and you've been there a lot. In one of my episodes that's on this podcast, I interviewed someone and they got banned from New Zealand, and I thought you'd find that really funny. They went there and they're not...
My friend got banned from New Zealand because he's the DJ. Well, I say friend. He was someone that actually was kind of dating / best friends with for a while. So it was a weird situation. But anyway, he got really big as a DJ, and he actually, I'm in one of the music videos as a fox with my sister, but that's another story. And he was playing like in Sydney, and then he was playing in New Zealand, and they found a pill in his pocket that he didn't know was there or something, and he wasn't allowed to go into New Zealand. He wasn't allowed to go to the thing at all.
So he's been banned from there. He can never enter it again?
Yeah, I think so.
My friend's friend got banned that was on the podcast for he's a sleepwalker. Obviously doesn't know he's doing it. And when he sleepwalks, he walks into people's homes. So the mum came downstairs and found him opening the fridge and eating the food. But he was sleepwalking and sleep eating, and he doesn't remember it. So he wasn't like attacking them or stealing like valuables and stuff. He just went into the house and ate and was eating out of their fridge with the fridge door open, which is bad. It's a stranger in your house.
In New Zealand?
In New Zealand, yes.
Yeah, everyone leaves their doors unlocked in New Zealand. Like that's the more, what's the lesson learned from the story?
Lock your door.
Even though it's safe, you still need to lock your door in case someone comes and sleepwalks in and tries to eat your cheese.
Yeah. Was it your friend? I think it was you. Was it your friend that moved to New Zealand? It was a guy, and he was living in a remote area where he lived on the farm with the family. He didn't have to pay rent or anything, so it was just a really good deal for him. And he left after the first night where he had his own room and everything. He met the family, but then they had a 6-year-old kid and they all went in the lounge room and watched TV. And when they put the TV on, the mum flopped out her tit and the 6-year-old kid sat on the couch and put the boob in his mouth and started like drinking milk while watching TV. And then it was like your Irish friend that was sitting there like shitting bricks, like this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And he left the next day. Was it you? It must be someone else if it wasn't your friend. How? Yeah.
But my but I have had like a few friends. Well, one of my best friends has been like on off, like living in New Zealand for the last few years. And when I went to New Zealand, she was there. So I went and spent some time with her. I just realized that, so what I totally went off on a tangent, but what I was going to tell you just really quickly, I mean, you're probably bored of my flight endeavors, but when I was working there and I just started working, the other staff, they were just, honestly, it's like another world. The kinds of people that work for these like high income families in England, in like a village, you know, like it's so old fashioned. It's like Downton Abbey.
Yes. Love Downton
They're all
Abbey.
just like very, very strange. But anyway, like when I first started working there, I was like really worried about getting everything done. And I was supposed to be flying to Amsterdam to meet my friends. And I basically missed my first flight because one of the other members of staff was like, oh, you've got to do this before. Like, I was superior to her, so I should have just been like, no, I've got a flight to catch. But I was just, I don't know, anxious and ended up basically missing my flight because of just someone telling me that I had to like do some pointless job before I'd done it and I hadn't finished it. So I missed one flight. So I'm like really gutted. I drive back to my little cottage because I had a little cottage on the grounds, and because I've just been working so hard, I worked 6 days a week there, and I still had my flat in Southsea and I had my little cottage there, and I was like madly driving back to Portsmouth to like do my Airbnb changeover. I don't know why I think I just didn't have a cleaner or something at the time, or like someone would book my flat on Airbnb, so I would be like driving at 2 a.m, like I wasn't sleeping, I was just crazy. And it was like really highly stressful. So I missed that flight, and then I drove home and I booked another flight, but it wasn't until 5 a.m. Then I just crashed out and I missed the next flight.
Oh my
because
God.
I was so exhausted that my body was finally like, oh, you've got some holiday rest. So I slept through the next flight. So I'm booking my third flight. My friends are like, you know, doing truffles and mushrooms in Amsterdam. Like, where is she? Like, we thought she's the second flight. She's supposed to be here. So then like I'm all good for my next flight, and I thought I was like in plenty of time. I'm driving to the airport, and I get to the gate, and I didn't even think I was late. I don't know what happened, you know, like ADHD time blindness, where sometimes you just lose some time and you're like, I don't understand what happened. I got to the gate, the flight had gone, and I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, I was on time. I didn't even know what happened. I can't even explain to you what happened. So I had to go, and like when you miss a flight, the most annoying thing about it is when you have to go out of the airport and go through security again. Sometimes you have to do that. Really annoying, especially if you've missed the flight initially because they were being assholes in security and trying to make you like throw away your perfume or something, you know, like if you sometimes you're only allowed one bag, and I always have 2 or 3, but usually I'll like spread them out between the trays and stuff. So I eventually got I arrived on my 4th flight, and my friends were like, what is wrong with you? But like the thing is, I have this thing, like once I've started like trying to get somewhere, I'm so determined, but then because I'm so stressed, I then just like can't function, and then I just keep missing more. So yeah, that was like 3 in a row, which is pretty bad.
It's so funny you say this because I have ADHD too, but we're so opposite where I've never missed a flight in my life, and I'm the type of guy. All my friends tease me, by the way, for this. I'm the type of guy. If I have an international flight, I actually get to the airport 4 hours early. If I go to a domestic, I get there 3 hours early. I've gone to a flight before to give my luggage, and the lady's like, it's not even open yet. I can't even scan your bags in. Like the gate I can't even scan your bags that early. But I've never missed a flight. I don't stress. As soon as I get there, I scan it in. Yes, I'm there 4 hours early to kill, but that 4 hours is me like walking around, going shopping, having a drink, having a beer, relaxing, and then I'm there. And then my friends who are like you, who are running late, because there's a lot of people who are addicted to like running late for flights. They're stressed, they're sweating, like, oh my God, I nearly missed it. So horrible. I just don't want to put myself through that. So I always go 4 hours early for international and 3 hours for domestic. And I've never missed a flight in my life. And I do that also just in case a flight gets cancelled. When you said, they've never rebooked me for one on the next flight. They've done that for me because I was there so early.
Well, I don't know. This is a theory. I feel like it's often a woman on the counter. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence, but I feel like it's like a male female thing. Like the women are always like, ha ha ha, that's going to be $700 for a new flight to me. And then they're like, oh, he's sweet. Like, we just put him on. Because it happened to, I remember, so it happened to Liam once. So basically I missed a flight in Australia from Darwin to Alice Springs, and I needed to be in Alice Springs because I had like a tour or something booked, and I'd been out in Darwin the night before, and I'd broken my camera on this trip, and this guy had this really good camera, and he'd given me his camera because he said he wasn't good at taking photos, and I'd taken all the most amazing photos. And then he was dancing with this woman in like this local woman in a bar, and she robbed him. So like I ended up staying up really late trying to console him, and then I was like really worried that I was going to fall asleep and miss the flight, so I was trying to stay up by drinking Red Bull and like walking around drinking Red Bull. So
oh my gosh,
like on my bag like this, and then I went to the airport, and I was like I was so rushed, and like I had shampoo leaking in my backpack, and it was like all like wet and damp, and I felt horrible, and I was crying my eyes out because I was about to leave Australia, and I literally had like $500 in my bank account, right? And she's like, yeah, we can put you on the next flight, but that's going to be $450.
Oh no.
I was like crying, and she did not give a fuck. She was like, well, such a bitch. And it's happened to me so many times. In fact, once I was in Edinburgh, and I would have missed I'd been taking ages in security because they were just being really harsh. I'd had like some issue with a boy who had made me sad because it was one of those like dramatic, he hadn't come back. I thought he was going to come back and drive me to the airport, and he didn't. So then I'm like on the tram, like all sad, and I get to the gate, and this woman was just such a bitch. She was like there was time, the gate was still open, but she radios through and she goes, I've got one more, but she needs to put, like when you've got hand luggage only, and you need to put like one bag into your second bag. I needed to do that, but I could have done it. And she was like, but she needs to repack her bag. It looks like it's going to take her at least 10 minutes. And then they're like, oh, we can't wait 10 minutes. And then she's like, sorry. And then I had to go out of the airport and go through security again.
In conclusion, with all these airport stories, which the listeners are probably so stressed out for this, I'm so stressed out. With the amount of flights, you are probably the worst flyer, if that's even a word, in the world. That the amount of flights you've actually missed, you could have flown first class by now, many times.
They never upgraded me as well. I've started doing that thing where I like dress really nicely, go to the airport.
Yeah, I think it's a myth. I think it's a myth, honestly. I've never met anyone, and we've both met a lot of people being so. What, that's been upgraded from dressing nice?
Oh, I don't know if it's from dressing nice, but like I was looking at like TikTok and like I don't know, like internet advice on like how to get upgraded. In fact, and I just came to the conclusion that you don't ask, you don't get. So if I ask every single flight that I take, maybe one time it might work. But they're always just like, yeah, if you pay for it.
All right, put it this way. This is how I know it doesn't work or it's a myth. And we'll close off this episode with this. It's got in relation to do with your flight. So obviously, when I was living in Canada, COVID hit. So I was escaping on all the flights going back to Australia before they closed off all the flights around the world. And I was on a Qantas flight from Vancouver to Sydney, and it stopped at Japan. And you know how big an international flight you fly a lot all the time. Guess how many people was on my plane?
Just you.
36 people. So it was actually very scary to be on an international flight where there's no one on it. It felt weird, like it felt unbalanced, like it just wasn't going to fly properly. It was really weird. Anyway, so I had the whole row to myself and I could see the other 36 people because I was in the middle of the plane, and the air hostess came past. She had a mask on, which was weird back then because this is before the mask, and I said to her, the world could be ending right now. I've never flown first class before. There's 36 people on this flight. There's no one in first class. Could I just sit in first class for the rest of the trip just to see what it's like? You don't even have to give me their food. I just want to sit in the seat. And she goes, I love your pitch, and trust me, it was a really good pitch, but I still have to treat it as if the world's not ending. So unfortunately, I can't let you do that. And I was like, oh, suck a wank, honestly. The world's about to end for the whole world, and you couldn't just let me sit in a chair that's a little bit bigger. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, but to be fair, I think first class. I mean, I would like to go there, of course, but I feel bad about my carbon footprint. I feel bad enough about my carbon footprint as it is, and so I've got a bit of a different attitude. Like the people I used to work for would book a private jet and not get on it, so it would fly empty. Like, do you know how bad that is for the environment?
So bad.
Book a private jet that had more seats, but they wouldn't fill them. You know, like it almost makes me feel a bit sick. Like after working for them, I think I have a bit of a slight different attitude. Like, because they were just really wasteful. Like they would literally throw everything away. Like they were so wasteful. Like they just,
annoying. Yeah.
A lot of do this during COVID. They were flying all because they needed to like not lose the flight slots. So most airlines were flying empty planes, and like or one person, and it was a real thing. It's quite controversial, but it's because the way that the slots work, like if you don't fly, like you lose your slot or something or your contract, and then so they were just flying empty planes, which is they should have just at least given the seats for free, you know, like, or discounted or something, or like lastminute.com, everyone come to the airport now, get on the flight, like something. But I guess you couldn't leave the country, could you? So that's probably why.
So guys, if you've got any advice for Meghan to get better with her flying skills, please reach out to any of my socials to let me know, and I'll let her know to be a better flyer. Meghan, please come back on the show anytime. You're a wonderful guest, and we love your stories. We'd have many more. You just take the rain away. You make it so easier for me. And thank you for sharing your experiences and your stories. Guys, if you want to be on the show and tell your true tall tale, please reach out on the socials or send an email to truetalltalespodcast@gmail.com. We're going to have to sign off because I think Meghan's dogs that she's house sitting needs to do a poo-poo wee-wee because they're barking in the background. My name's Sunny Boy. This is Meghan, the worst flyer in the world, and thank you for listening to True Tall Tales podcast. Meghan, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Nice to chat. I missed you.
You too. I was going to